Hi, good afternoon. This is Mrs. Tiernan's second grade class at Chapel Glen Elementary, and we're here with Mr. Crosslin today for plant adaptation.
Plant secrets. Have I got a secret for you? We've been studying about plants, and today we're going to talk about plant adaptations. And you probably never heard that word, have you? Adaptations. Or have you? Okay. Well, some have, some haven't. I know we've studied, this is a great plant life cycle, but a plant adaptation, and it's a weird word, it's got like adapt in it. Adaptation can be two things. Adaptation can be two things. It can be a part of a plant. Okay, got that? Lock it in, right? Or it can be a behavior. A behavior, it means it does something. That seems weird. But whatever it is, a part or a behavior, and you can write this on your paper anywhere, take notes. A part or a behavior that helps the plant. That helps. So an adaptation is a part or a behavior that helps. Adaptation, a part or a behavior. Got it? Lock it in. So on your paper, here's a typical plant. Okay, let's start with the ground right here. Ready? And what's underground? Roots. Go ahead and label that. And roots can be two types. See this one right here? This type of root is a fiber. You could have another plant that looks like this. I bet you've seen this one before. I bet you've seen this one up close. I bet you have.
Carrot.
What is that?
Carrot.
A carrot. And this is a fiber root, and this is a tuber root. Look at my lips. This is a fiber root because it's fibrous. This is a tuber root because it's like a big tube. Nice. Maybe you've seen another root that looks like this. It goes down and has one of these things growing on it.
Potato.
A potato. Yeah, there's lots. Or maybe you've seen something that looks like this. It goes down.
Oh, it's a radish.
A radish. Or an onion.
Onion.
No, I call onion. Onion. Now, so these are roots. They have two jobs. I'm not going to tell you jobs. You're going to read about this, but I'll give you some hints. Anybody know what the job of the roots are? Any root job? I love how you raise your hand. What's one job of the roots? What do you think?
It sucks up water.
It brings up water and nutrients. I'm just going to put W in, okay? I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to remember that, okay? W, N. So these roots, the W and N, all right, that's one thing. I'm not going to tell you what they'll stand for. Do you know what they stand for? Okay, I'll leave it up to you. Also, roots do this. They do something to all plants with an A. You might know what that stands for. I'll give you a hint. If a big wind comes around, it doesn't blow the plant away because the roots help what?
Stay.
It helps it stay. And what word starts with an A? It means, I'll give you another hint. If you're in a boat and you want the boat to stay, you drop the anchor. So roots, both water, nutrients, and anchor the plant. All right, let's go up with our thing, because the next thing that happens is up comes what is that? Not a shoot. This is the stem. And what are two jobs of the stem? Anybody know? Two jobs of the stem. Yes. What do you think? I'll give you a hint. It starts with this and this. They let water and nutrients go up and down. Up and down. Now usually the roots, it just goes up, but the stem, up and down. Go ahead and draw those. If I draw them, you draw them. Next. Anybody know what the next part is? Next part is what? Say it.
Leaves.
The leaves. I don't know what potato leaves. The next are leaves, right? These leaves of the onion look kind of straight, and potato leaves are kind of big. And the carrot leaves, I'm not sure. They're kind of straight like that. But this plant has big leaves, and let's call that leaf. And what are two jobs of the leaf? Oh, I'll give you a hint. Leaves make, say it, food, not fertilizer. Leaves make food, and they do something else. They let these in and out. Air or gases, oxygen. So leaves let the gases in the food, and that brings us one more thing. What's the last part of a plant? Flowers, and even carrots. I don't know what to see, but I know potatoes have flowers. I know onions have little bitty flowers. So the flower, and it has two jobs. Two jobs. AI is one abbreviation, and S. So a flower will AI to make S. Anybody know? I'm not. You have to read about it, but AI means to attract what? Say it. AI is attract insects. When a flower, we learned that last week in the lesson, when a flower attracts insects, it will make what? Say it. Seeds. Seeds. So these are the parts. Now, these are the parts. How are these an adaptation? Well, let's take a look at these a little bit closer, okay? Hey, you guys did a really good job on identifying the parts of a plant. And so I brought some plants. And so we're talking about adaptations in plants. And so this is a cool plant. It has all the parts we just talked about. It has a roots. I can't see them, but check it out. Ready? Dun, 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 dun. See the roots right underneath there? Ooh, nice. And it has a stem and leaves, and but this has an adaptation. Now some plants, like this tree, it has an adaptation, a part, the stem, that's really strong. On a tree, what do we call the stem? We call it a trunk. And its job is to support or to lift up the plant. So that is a job. A tree can grow high to get to the sky and the sun. Well, look at this vine though. This vine has a problem. Watch. The stem is supposed to hold this up so we can get close to the sun. One, predict what's going to happen.
It's going to fall.
2, 3.
It's going to fall.
It fell. So that's not a very good adaptation. It has to do something else. And I'll show you what it is. Stand up here, young man. Yeah. So, what's your name? DeAndre, turn this way. You're a fence post now. Put your arm up right there. DeAndre's a fence post. This plant goes, I don't need a stem or a trunk because I am a vine. And I can just go around a fence post and get taller and taller until I can get right here. And what? What are you moving for? Fence posts don't move. All right, Luke, come closer to me. Come closer to me. There we go. And that's what a fence post, that's what a vine does. It's adaptive. It's adaptive. Now, you were a good sport on that, but let me show you something. Check this out. Hold this one up. See that? Just point your fingers. See these two little things hanging down right there? Point your finger at it so they can see. Those two little things are called tendrils. That's an adaptation. It hooks onto something. So those things are like little hooks. Put your finger back out. They would grow around that and hold on. And that plant is adapted to grow up another plant. Thank you. Have a seat. So there's some plants live in the jungle. They just grow up a tree, and then they take all of the sun, and guess what happens to the tree in the middle? It dies. And that's called a strangler fig. And it grows all the way up the tree, and it's going, Ah, thanks, I need that. It puts all of its energy into leaves. It doesn't need a trunk because it grows up a tree. And sometimes the tree does. I watched a movie from Disney not too long ago called Jungle Book. And this little boy was running from this tiger, and he climbed up inside of a strangler fig tree that the tree had died and all those. And anyway, check it out. So this has an adaptation. An adaptation is a part or a behavior that helps the plant. Now, this plant right here, oh my goodness, this plant, let me show you the next one. It lives somewhere. It's a cactus. Now, here's some adaptations about this. Where does a cactus, would you find a cactus? Where did you find it? Tell me.
The desert.
The desert. What's the soil like in the desert? Usually sandy, not a lot of nutrients.
It's dry.
And it's dry, right?
And it's sandy.
In fact, the definition of a desert is it's less than 10 inches of water the whole year, right? And so this guy, two things. There's not much water. So when it does rain, it has to be ready. It's going to be like, okay, is it coming, is it coming, is it coming? Well, it doesn't really say that, but it's ready. So, and when it gets water, it has to protect its water. Like other animals go, hey, I'm going to eat that cactus because there's water inside of it. So it has two adaptations. One, this plant, see how these are like these different little sections right here? When it rains in the desert, these cactuses swell up like a bag. And it's got a second adaptation. See that green part right there? Yeah. It's real thick and waxy. Water doesn't come out of it. It's like waterproof. This leaf right here, water comes in and out. But if this was out in the sun, what would happen to these leaves? They would dry up because the water would come out of them. But in the desert, this green part's waxy. It keeps the water in. So, number one, if the rain comes, the cactus goes, swells up, and it's covered in thick, waxy coating. But along comes a turtle or a lizard that's really thirsty and starts to. But it has another adaptation. What would stop me from? Here, you want to take a bite of this? Anybody? Why not take a bite of this? Because what is it covered in?
Spikes.
Spikes. Yes, and those spikes, I got some of my fingers, those spikes are an adaptation to protect it. So I got another cactus here. It's covered in spines also. And actually, spines are a type of leaf. Now, let me tell you about this. Is weird. This is hard to understand. Okay, you get an animal. The first cactuses did not have spines, maybe. Maybe not. But maybe a few of them had spines, and the ones that had leaves died out. But the ones that had spines grew. Maybe it got really hot, and only the ones that protect water could live. So an adaptation only helps if it needs it. Let me give you another example about a plant, okay? This is kind of hard to understand, but let's say we had 100 baby fish that were born in a lake, and they're just swimming around, 100 fish. Now each fish looked kind of like the fish next to it. You understand this? But each fish was a little bit different. Some of the fish could swim really fast, maybe like 10 of them. Some of the fish tried their best but only swam slowly. And the rest kind of swam regular. Got it? Now, one day, a big fish gets in this lake. It's hungry. It wants to eat fish. The other fish see it and they go, I'm out of here. That big fish, who would he probably eat first? Which ones?
The slowest.
The slowest ones. Which ones would probably not get eaten and grow up to be big fish? Which ones? The fast ones. So the fast ones would grow big, and the boy fast one and the girl fast one would lay eggs, and there'd be more baby fish, and this time, not 10 fast ones, but maybe 80 fast ones.
Whoa.
And
That's a lot.
so here's what happened. That was an adaptation. Adaptations takes a lot of time. It doesn't happen, you know, it doesn't just happen with one generation. It's more and more and more changing. You got that?
Around the desk.
Okay, so this plant right here, long time ago, maybe it didn't have, maybe there was 100 seeds and only 2 of them could grow a vine. And those 2 could live and the others died. So an adaptation is a behavior or a body part that helps the animal. We have adaptations. You want to know 3 adaptations that make us really, really good in this world? Here's the first one. We have a large, complex brain. You know, like a whale's brain may not be very big at all. A dinosaur's brain about this big. We have one of the biggest brains for our body of any animal. Number 2, we have a thumb on this side of our hand. That makes us, we can make and use tools. Now, many animals are smart, and many animals can make tools. Scientists didn't know that at first. About 50 years ago, they used to say, only a man can make and use a tool. But you know that chimps make tools? They make a stick to stick down and eat termites. They make a clump of leaves that they reach down in and suck out water. Do you know that a crow is really a really intelligent animal? A crow can find a way to make a stick to get a worm. Crows are smart. Chimps are smart. There was an experiment that they gave to a chimp. Here's what it did. It was a tube, right? With a little treat in the bottom of the tube. The chimp couldn't lift the tube up. The chimp couldn't put his hand in there. The chimp looked at it, thought about it. You know what the chimp did? Went over, got a mouthful of water, came back, put it in the tube, and the treat floated. Went and got more water, and the treat floated. And finally, the treat got up here. You know what the chimp did?
He ate it.
Reached his finger in there and ate it. Now that shows intelligence and tool making. The crow, there was a crow that did the same thing. And this is amazing. They put a worm in a tube with some water in it. The crow couldn't reach it. The crow couldn't get it. You know what the crow did?
Yeah, got some more.
Picked up a rock, dropped it in there. When it put rocks in there, it made the water level go up. It kept dropping rocks. Now that's intelligence. But we have a thumb to make tools, and we have a brain. And we have one more thing that's very good, and it's called what I'm doing right now. I use language. Language. So I could say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Everybody's hungry. We're going to go on a hunt. This happened thousands and thousands of years ago. I'll tell you what, we're going to go on a hunt. We're going to get something to eat tomorrow. I want you two to go up by the rocks. I want you two to stand there by the bushes. I want you to sharpen the tools that you made. And when I go, you come chase the deer this way, and we're all going to jump out and get them. We're going to eat dinner. Now, do you guys understand the plan? You understand the plan? So we got some people chasing animals. We got some people hiding, and we got everybody jumping. And we have some people making tools. We are an animal that can do that. We plan things out, we make tools, and we use our language. Those are adaptations. I am glad that a lot of animals don't have language.
Me too.
Can you think about it? It would be weird, like I'm getting out of my car and the squirrels are looking at me. And this one squirrel turns to the other, hey, he's leaving. I'm going to jump on the car and distract him. You sneak in the house and grab all the peanut butter. Wait a minute. Hey, Steve, bring the tool you made. What? I go out there, the squirrels are, you know, that would be terrible if squirrels had language and could plan raids on our house. We wouldn't be able to go outdoors. So we have adaptations. Look at your thumb. If you don't believe me tonight, try eating dinner at the table without tools and only with these fingers. Now your parents will probably go, what's wrong with you? But some, you know, we have tools. Oh, now other animals have better adaptations. For example, a bear has sharp claws for digging and looking for food. A dog has a nose that can smell 100 times better than us. Their world is smell. A hawk has eyes much better than ours for seeing prey. So animals have adaptations. Any questions? So you're saying hawks have good eyesight, right? So they don't, hawks, go, so tell us about the hawks.
Hawks have good eyesight so they can get their food, so they know where they're at, because if the water's dirty and they don't know where they're at, that's why they have eyesight to see underwater. Well,
they can see really good. In fact, now, a hawk means something else. So a hawk sees a mouse. what does it do? Hey, mousy, mousy, mousy. No. What other adaptation does it use to capture that mouse? It has talons. And these talons are, well, I'll show you. You stay right there. Make a mouse sound like.
I can't do that.
Go squeak, squeak, squeak. Come on. You're killing me, man. All right. Here's my mouse down here squeaking, right? Here's my hawk. First thing the hawk does is this. It hears it. The mouse doesn't see the hawk. The hawk comes down. It's got its talons. It comes down. Zoom! And before you know it, the poor mouse is gone. Oh, sorry. I'm getting carried away. Now, okay, so we had the sounds of a mouse, the eyes of a hawk, the talons of the hawk. Does the hawk then? Does the hawk?
About getting me like a pet and
Wait a minute. Let me ask this question.
I was gonna see if it could land on my arm, but you have to get something
Wait a
that's
minute.
thick.
Oh my goodness! Because if a hawk talons, you'd be shredded, right? Because their adaptation is for catching prey. But let me ask you this: once the hawk catches the prey, does it chew it up with its teeth?
No.
No. What does it do? It has a beak. It strips the flesh, right?
Yeah.
Now look at your. Let's do something right now. Thank you. Have a seat. Good job. Here's what we're gonna do. Use your tongue and put your tongue by the teeth that you have. That's for crushing things. Those teeth in the back, right? We use those. That's an adaptation for crushing nuts. Now, point to these teeth right here. See these teeth right here?
Yeah.
Those teeth are for tearing. Tigers have teeth like that. Canines. They're called canines. Canine teeth. Now, if you want to cut food, we use these teeth right here. So we have 3 types of teeth to eat 3 different types of food. We can cut with this, we can tear with this, and we can chew with this. Those are adaptations. All right, I'd like to share with you a book about adaptations. All right, so I'm going to read to you a book called The Sneetches. And you might wonder, what does this have to do with adaptation? I'm going to tell you. It's called Sneetches and Other Stories by Dr. Seuss. The Sneetches. Now, the star-belly Sneetches had bellies with stars. The plain-belly Sneetches had none upon stars. Those stars weren't so big, they were really so small that you would think such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, all the star-belly Sneetches would brag, we're the best kind of Sneetches on beaches. With their snoots in the air, they would sniff and they would snort. Will have nothing to do with the plain belly sort. And whenever they met someone they were out walking, they'd hike right on past without even talking. When the star-belly children came out to play ball, could a plain belly Sneetch play? Not at all. You could only play if your bellies had stars, and the plain belly children had none upon theirs. Oh my goodness. When the star-belly Sneetches had Frankfurter roast or picnics or parties or marshmallow toasts, they never invited the plain belly sorts. Those Sneetches, they left them out in the cold and the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year.
Oh.
So, adaptation. Some had stars on theirs, and some had none. Then one day, it seems, while the plain belly Sneetches were moping and doping alone on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars. My friends, he announced in a voice clear and keen, my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean, and I've heard of your troubles, I've heard you're unhappy. But I can fix that up. I'm the fix-it-up chappie. I've come here to help you. I have what you need. My prices are low, and I work at great speed, and it is 100% guaranteed. That's Sylvester McMonkey McBean. Then quickly, Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine, and he said, you want stars like the star-belly Sneetches? My friends, you too can have them for $3 eaches.
What?
Just pay me your money and hop right aboard. So they clambered inside, and the big machine roared, and it clunked, and it bumped, and it jerked, and it burped, and it bopped them about, but the thing really worked. When the plain belly Sneetches popped out, they had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon thars. Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start. We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're all just the same now, you snooty old Sneetches. And now we can go to your Frankfurter parties. Good grief, groaned the ones who had stars at the first. We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst. But now how in the world will we know, they all frowned, if which kind is what, or the other way around? Huh. Then up came McBean with a very sly wink. And he said, oh, things are not quite as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who. That's perfectly true. But come with me, friends. I know exactly what to do. I'll make you again the best Sneetches on beaches. And all it will cost you is $10 eaches.
Eat.
There's that sly wink. Belly stars are no longer in style, said McBean. What you need is a trip through my star-off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars so you won't look like Sneetches who have them on thars. And that handy machine, working very precisely, removed all the stars from their bellies quite nicely. Then, with their snoots in the air, they paraded about, and they opened their beaks, and they let out a shout. We know who is who. Now there isn't a doubt. The best kind of Sneetches are Sneetches without. Then, of course, those with stars all got frightfully mad. To be wearing a star now was frightfully bad. Then, of course, old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his star-off machine. Then, of course, from then on, as you probably guessed, things really got into a horrible mess. Why, all the rest of that day on those wild screaming beaches, the fix-it-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again. Through the machine they raced round about again, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money. They kept going through until neither the plain belly nor the star bellies knew whether this one was that one, or that one was this one, or which one, or what one was who. Then, with every last cent of their money well spent, that fix-it-up chappie packed up and he went. And he laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. Well, we'll never learn. No, you can't teach a Sneetch. But McBean was quite wrong. I'm quite happy to say that the Sneetches got really quite smart on this day. The day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches. And no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beach. That day, all Sneetches forgot about stars and whether or not they had one on thars. So here's what I want to do. I want to ask you a question. How is having a star or not having a star like an adaptation? Okay, so I got a couple students here in this great class. How is this book kind of like Adaptations? What part is like a plant, or what part?
Like the stars are like a part of the body.
Yeah, so some of them had stars and some didn't. And what about stars? What do you think?
The stars are good sometimes, the stars are bad sometimes.
An adaptation be good sometimes, and it can be bad sometimes, right? If you're a hawk, having an adaptation for a claws is good if there's a mouse around, right? But a hawk couldn't pick up a jellyfish. It would go right through there, right? So that'd be good or bad. And so anything else that you liked about this book? What did you like about this book? You know, this book also teaches us something else, like lessons about people. What do you think?
They kept going in and came out.
Yeah, they kept thinking they could change. Now, in real life, adaptations, you just can't, like, no matter what, I want to fly, I just can't grow wings. So adaptations just don't happen like that. You have something to say? What? See, what?
People, no matter if people are the same or different, it doesn't matter what people
Yeah.
are.
You know, people can be same or different, but look, everybody put your fingers up. You guys put your fingers up here, right? These are all fingers, right? Are they exactly the same?
No.
No. Some are longer, some are shorter, but they're all fingers. Life is like that. When there's a bunch of plants, there's going to be some taller, some shorter, and each one will find its job. And that's what adaptation is, a body part or behavior. Hey, let's go outside and look at a few plants and some of their adaptations. Okay, so we went outside, and here is a tree with some adaptation. This is the trunk, which is really like a big stem, right?
Yes.
But if you feel this, it is covered in a bark, and this bark protects the tree from insects, from temperature and heat. That's a great adaptation. Without that bark, here's another adaptation. See the root? The soil has come away. This root has spread out to find more water. So trees have all kind of adaptations. There's flowers on this tree. It grows from its tips. There's so much we can learn about this tree. But I want to show you another plant that's really pretty popular. Here is a dandelion. And if you look across the field here, dandelions are everywhere. They have an adaptation that helps them spread their seeds. So a flower turns into a seed pod. How do you think it gets all of its, how do you think it gets all these plants to spread around? What happens? What do you think? How do they get spread around? Do they crawl?
No.
Do people pay? How do they go? The wind helps them. Come here, come over here. Let's see. I'm going to see. Let's on the count of three. Let's blow. You guys ready? Here comes the seeds. Let's blow these. 1, 2, 3. There they go. So this, look here. This adaptation really helps spread the seeds. Let's take a close look at this. Okay, so here's a couple of them close up, and because of the adaptation, these seeds can go flying. There they go. Now I've just helped, not that we need more help with dandelion spreading, but that's a great adaptation that this seed can use wind to spread its seeds. I got one more thing I want to show you. I asked you guys to get down on the sidewalk because here is a plant root that really has a great adaptation. See all that grass growing in the crack right there? Yes? A seed landed in that crack and an entire plant has started to grow. So the roots hold on to it, and eventually those plants will crack the concrete. See if you can pull up one of those plants and then the entire roots and everything, and we can take a look at those.
Oh, here. Here.
Let's see. Oh, look, there's the roots right there of it. And look how far the roots went down. That's a great adaptation. Roots, bark, seeds. And when you get back to the room, we're going to make some drawings of our observations of different plant adaptations. Good job, guys. Let's head on back to the room and finish our worksheet.
And to wrap up Mr. Crosslin's plant adaptations today, you're going to turn over your observation. On one of those 4 squares, you're going to draw about what you saw. Outside today, we saw the tree with the bark and all the roots. We talked about the leaves and how they change and adapt to the environment. We also talked about the dandelion, and when we blow that dandelion, what happens to the seeds. Okay, so you're going to write and draw about your observations under grasses, trees, flowers, and bushes. We also outside pulled up a root from the sidewalk in between the 2 cracks, and about what you saw on top, and then when we pulled it up, what did you see underneath? When we pulled that root up, what did it look like? So you're going to draw about that.
Okay.